You know what they are, those mosquitoes, those pests. A lot of us spend all summer swatting and slapping trying to get the pests to go away. It doesn't have to give you a headache. We have Steve Brock from Mosquito Joe in Greensboro with us today. He's going to talk about ways that you can keep mosquitoes out of your homes and your yards, and he's also going to debunk some myths about mosquitoes and why they bite. You can text him your mosquito questions. This is how you get those questions to him. The number is 336-379-5775. Your questions are anonymous, but your answers are done in real time. So you got 15 minutes. So let's get right to it. All right. So Steve, let's talk about how we can keep the mosquitoes out of our yards, out of our back patios.
So Tanya, thanks for having me today. Great question. The number one culprit for breeding mosquitoes is water. So if you want to keep the mosquitoes out of your yard this summer, the best thing you can do is walk around about once a week. Look for bird baths that aren't being used. Look for a bucket of water that maybe is under the deck. Look for kids' toys that are turned over. And in some cases, look for a bottle cap, because something as small as this can breed tons and tons of mosquitoes. So get out there once a week and take a walk around and make sure there's nothing standing. You'll see a little film start to develop. And once that happens, it's Club Med for mosquitoes.
Club Med. Hold up that bottle cap for me. So this is something that a lot of us have, right? Because we got the pop outside or whatever else. We've got the picnics outside. And water in just that amount?
If it sits long enough, absolutely.
And what is long enough?
So the breeding cycle is about 7 to 10 days. So if you have water standing for longer than that, and when I say standing, I mean still. If it moves at all, it'll shatter the eggs. But if it sits, that's all you need is for them to start producing. The eggs will hatch and out they come.
And out they come 7 days later. All right. So let's talk about some common myths about mosquito bites.
Okay. So the most common one is that both male and female mosquitoes bite. It actually is the females. And what they're doing is they're trying to find blood to feed the eggs. So the way the whole thing works is that our bodies put off carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide draws mosquitoes to us. And that's another reason why the water is so important. They can fly about 100 feet and they have to land. So if that standing water is within 100 feet of you, maybe like a backed up gutter above your deck, they're going to come out of that gutter, they're going to parachute down, and they're going to come right to you. So it's the CO2 that our bodies put off that draw them in.
And some people claim that they're sweeter than other people, and that's why the mosquitoes like them.
Well, they may be to their spouse, but to the mosquito, they just look for CO2, and it is go time.
All right. Let's talk about why mosquitoes bite us. So it is the CO2. Is there anything else? Do they have like infrared abilities or something like that to find out fresh meat wherever we are?
Well, rumor has it there's some engineering going on in Central America, but so far, what I understand is that it is just the CO2 that's going on that draws them to us. So it's really pretty simple.
So why do the mosquitoes bite us then?
So
like what's in it for them?
The females are biting us to feed the eggs. So as parents, they're trying to get their kids ready to go. And so the blood actually is the food for the eggs before they hatch.
Okay, that is why they're doing it. All right. That doesn't make me feel any better for the mosquito, though, I got to tell you.
No, it's pretty nasty stuff.
All right. How do we protect our kids, especially our young kids, from mosquito bites?
So when you have little kids, a couple things to keep in mind. Mosquitoes like to go into ground cover and shrubs to get out of the sun. So if you really want to help your kids out, and again, the CO2 is what's going to draw them. But if you've got a lot of ivy, if you've got a lot of ground cover, you may want to think about cutting that back, because what will happen is if your kids crawl or kind of waddle into them and the mosquitoes are all under the ivy, they will attack immediately. So I always suggest to families with young kids, clear out as much of that ground cover as you can. And then again, make sure that you don't have any standing water sitting around the play area or anywhere the kids really hang out.
All right, so I see a lot of bird baths in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue.
Yeah, well, it's an issue if the birds aren't hanging out.
Okay.
So if the birds are swinging by and doing their thing, that's fantastic. Love to have birds outside the house, but if the birds have already decided that it's time to go to Naples, then you may want to either make sure that you move the water around once a week, or ideally just kind of dump it out and let it go.
All right, and tell me why that mosquitoes don't breed in swimming pools, because we had that question.
Well, two things happen. Actually, three. One, the swimming pool consistently moves, so it just doesn't stay still enough for the mosquitoes' eggs to grow. Secondly, chlorine is not a friend of the egg. So the fact that there's a bunch of chemicals in there already makes it good shape. And number three, unless you put in a pool that your kids don't like, they're probably going to be jumping in there more than once a week. So that should take care of it as well. The real culprit is not pools, it's jacuzzis that aren't being used that are still filled with water.
Ooh, I have one of those at the moment. Now it's covered. Does that matter?
I would still open it up once a week. All you have to do is either turn it on or just kind of swish the water around a bit, because mosquitoes are pretty tiny, so they can get in some pretty small spaces.
Right, because you're thinking right now, I mean, it's like 90 degrees outside, so none of us want to get in the hot tub, which was a COVID buy, by the way, an inflatable hot tub, because why shouldn't you buy an inflatable hot tub, right, when you're home for 2 years?
That's it.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back, and we've got your questions coming up.